Welcome back. Folks, I'm feeling a little less than stellar today, so I'll be off camera, but we'll repurpose a previous episode for July 24th, and I've added a quote. So grab your favorite cuppa, settle in, and let's see what we have for today. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for July 24th. July 24th is the 205th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 206th in leap years, with 160 days remaining to the end of the year. July 24th is Pioneer Day in the U.S. state of Utah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. Today's word is incline. Incline can be a noun or a verb. As a verb, incline means to bend, slant, or lean toward, to cause to stoop or bow, to have influence upon, persuade, to give a bend or a slant to. As a noun, incline refers to a leaning or a slant. Either way, incline can refer to an actual physical slant, such as the incline of a hill or the incline of a crooked building, or it can refer to a tendency to prefer something, such as being inclined to a particular type of mindset, hobby, or occupation. Maybe one who is artistically inclined. The word incline comes to us from Latin. First known use of the word incline is in the 1300s as a verb and in the late 1700s as a noun. Incline. And with that, Stirling Castle in Scotland is a huge, old castle complex strategically located on the top of a geological formation such that there are steep cliffs off three sides of the castle complex. It's an excellent location to see and defend from whatever might be coming. The location itself is bound to have been in use well before history's first record of King Alexander dedicating a chapel there in 1110. Most of the present-day buildings in what is known as Stirling Castle date from the 1400s to the 1600s, and is a pretty impressive-looking complex that is now a historical tourist attraction. That might be worth a trip to Scotland right there. Back then, though, Stirling Castle changed hands several times between the English and the Scots during wars of Scottish independence, which brings us to today's item, when on July 24th in the year 1304, King Edward I set upon the castle with what were known as siege engines. These were trebuchets, catapults with a long arm that could be used to throw a projectile. Edward I had ordered his engineer to design and build a huge trebuchet, which they named the War Wolf. Thought to be the largest trebuchet ever made, it's said to have been able to throw rocks as big as almost 300 pounds, 135 kilograms, from as far away as 660 feet, 200 meters. And they were able to destroy entire walls with it and take back the stronghold under English rule. As I mentioned at the beginning, July 24th is Pioneer Day in Utah, and that's because after 17 months of travel, on July 24, 1847, Brigham Young led 148 Mormon pioneers into Salt Lake Valley, ultimately establishing Salt Lake City. July 24, 1866, Tennessee became the first U.S. state to be readmitted to Congress following the war between the states, more commonly known as the Civil War. And mercy, on July 24, 1935, the Dust Bowl heat wave reached its peak with temperatures of 109 Fahrenheit, that's 43 in Celsius for my metric friends, in Chicago, 109 in Chicago, and 104 Fahrenheit, which is 40 Celsius, in Milwaukee. And for my viewers who watch from other parts in the world, those cities typically have temperatures in the ranges of 70 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, or 21 to 28 Celsius in Chicago, and 65 to 77 Fahrenheit, or 18 to 25 Celsius in Milwaukee this time of year. So, significantly hotter temperatures that they almost never get up there. That was during the Dust Bowl heat wave in 1935. Today's song is Indian Reservation, The Lament of the Cherokee Reservation Indian by the Raiders. This song was written by a fellow named John Loudermilk long enough ago that it was first recorded in 1959. At that time, it was released by Marvin Rainwater under the title Paleface Indian. If you've never heard of it, you're not alone, as that version went essentially unnoticed. Another version by a recording artist named Don Farden came out in 1968, and that one got to number 20 on the Hot 100 in the U.S. By the way, some of the imagery portrayed in this song is based more on Hollywoodized ideas about Native Americans and may not be entirely accurate, particularly as regards the Cherokee people, but that may be a telling for another day. Returning to today's song, however, Paul Revere and the Raiders, also known simply as the Raiders by this time, released the song in 1970 as Indian Reservation, The Lament of the Cherokee Reservation Indian. This version had sold over 1 million copies by the end of June in 1971 and hit number 1 for the Raiders on July 24th, 1971. I remember Paul Revere and the Raiders from the late 1960s. They were fairly popular back then, so I was quite surprised to learn that this song was the group's only Hot 100 number 1 hit and their final Hot 100 Top 20 song. Indian Reservation, The Lament of the Cherokee Reservation Indian by the Raiders. Link in the description. How about that? Our quote for today is from entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker Jim Rohn. He said, "Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live." Jim Rohn. Alrighty, y'all, take care. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlists in the description. You can find me on BitChute, Facebook, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, and X, as well as on a blog page called No Really. No Really. No Really. Consider following my Day in History page on Facebook if you're on Facebook. I also have a Patreon account now, or you can buy me a coffee. All those links are in the description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.